Okay, I'm awkwardly here with my friend Iris Johnson. She's a designer with her father's company, Hutch Johnson Architects. Is that correct?
Yes, it's also WHJ Design Inc. But if you look for it online, it's Hutch Johnson.
And so Iris and I know each other from the junior league, but she also has, as our friend Sarah said, impeccable taste. And and more to the point, I worked with her recently on my house, and I'll attach to something of this, a semi-decent picture. It's really hard to get one of my bathroom, and any color you see in this house, she helped me choose. And my bathroom has no color. It's just black and white, but very loud.
Even though it's black and white and you're right, it's loud, but it's got a lot of color with just the black and white, the way that it's done.
And if anyone's interested, I'm more than happy to send people pictures of that. So I had a great time working with her, and I realized that most modern houses, unless you have an office because you needed one, we are not set up for working from home. And most of us suddenly are. So I thought she might have some tips on that, or ways that you can, get your house ready for when we all can actually start changing it up again.
So one thing that you can do is definitely, this is what I'm doing right now, because my fiance has an office, but it is not conducive for the two of us to be using at the same time when he is working from home. So I have used my dining table, for example, and sectioned off a corner of that for just all of the essentials that I personally need, which is like my monitor, my mouse, my keyboard, and then I have my little pile of swatches and paints and things like that. I have been seeing, which I think is an awesome idea if you do have this space, is people having desks. They're buying just like little compact desks and putting them into like a corner of their living room, dining room, wherever they can find the space. But a neat way to kind of make that sort of your own is getting just another small little rug that adds a pop of color and defines that space even more for you. Maybe putting with some sticky things that go on the wall. I can't think of the name right now, for pictures, and make that more of an office space for you and kind of make it your own, so that you have something to look at besides a blank wall. No one likes to look at a blank wall. It's not fun.
No. Especially if you've been to my house, you know that I'm not big on that.
Yeah. You see the giant artwork I have.
Behind my corner. My brother did that. He has like a nook, and he put a little desk in there, and it works well. And I think they put like a screen that's even screened off, so that when you're in the den watching TV, you don't look at the office. Because, at least for me, I need to kind of define my personal life and my office life a little bit. I too have done the big dining room table thing. Mine, I have not been good about cordoning off only a quarter. So mine is just paper everywhere at the moment. So you're not seeing it quite clearly, but I do feel, at least for me, that's not an entirely great option, because I have to walk through my dining room all the time. So I am constantly reminded of work. It is, if you've not been to my house, my dining room is right off the kitchen, which goes to the back door. So to get to the backyard, my car, let the dog out, eat, I have to go through the dining room.
Yeah. And for some people, that's not the best option. It really just depends on your space and what you have available, because obviously right now, not everyone can afford to go and buy like a small little desk. If you've got the free time on the weekend, it would be cheaper to build it, but not everyone wants to do that or has the ability to do that as well. So that's where just having that little dining space is an option.
Yeah.
But ways, if you start getting bored of your paint color, because we're all stuck at home and staring at the same 4 structural walls, pretty much is what it feels like. You might want to change up your paint color. And this is a good time to start thinking about what you want to redo. So I actually have a friend who, she and her husband are redoing their powder room right now by themselves on the weekends. And I worked with her on ordering some paint swatches, and this was all while we're at the stay-at-home order. So I worked with her on ordering paint swatches to see what colors she liked, and then I worked with her on finding at like Lowe's and Home Depot different materials for the flooring, a new sink and vanity, and did this all virtually online with her, which I think she really liked because it was able to convince her husband that this is something they could do right now. And it's a nice way to go ahead and kind of get started if you can't do it yourself, because you're not that handy. I am not. I acknowledge that.
You don't want me to do it.
Yeah, you don't want, yeah, no. That's why I have friends that can do these things. But you can go ahead and get started. And there's a lot of virtual ways to do it and ask any questions and get feedback and know what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I know you and I went back and forth on wallpaper. 90% of it was over the computer, even not under the stay-at-home order. Mm-hmm. And I think the rest of the 10% was probably just because we hang out occasionally, honestly. But and there are other things you can do, like simple things to spruce up your house. I find just putting a new pillow out can make a room look different. It's not ideal. It's not the greatest, but it works. And as we said in the last video, when I was talking with AJ, this is the painter, it's a great time to kind of explore, because, you know, as I said to him, I think everyone's going to be really tired of their homes by the time this is done. And paint's the cheapest way to make your home feel new again. Wallpaper is a little bit more expensive. Yeah,
but it changes the look of your house completely when you change the colors, and people don't necessarily realize that until after it's happened.
Right. You see it. But if you're truly bored or you're trying to entertain the kids, this might be a great time to like paint a mural on a wall in your own house. Do it, because it's fixable.
That's what my friend who's redoing her powder room did. She had her kids paint the powder room, and it was an activity for the kids for the weekend.
Right. And, you know, and then if you want to be serious about it and do what you think you're going to like for a long time, Iris or someone like her can do a virtual consult, and you can get yourself set up so that when you do want to go forward, you're ready. And you know what colors you want to use. And most of the contractors in most places, not all states, but are still essential. So if you really wanted to pay them and you felt comfortable, they can come in your house and do work. So
yes, they can. They are still able to do all of that. I have plenty of vendors that are still, you know, out in the field. My fiance being one of them in construction, he's out there doing that every day, getting it done. So they're all willing and able and wanting to go ahead and do it if you are comfortable with having them come.
And I mean, you know, just like I'm just still doing virtual stagings and buying and listing consults, you're available for that. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is just define your space, like define an area for you to do work in. And then for the rest of the time, just figure out how to make your home fun until you don't have to be in it anymore.
Make it fun and less clutter free. And once you, and I know personally myself, I sometimes will have a bunch of clutter and I don't realize that, once I got rid of it, I'm like, I can do so much in this area. And this is the time to do that and to declutter and be able to see that potential that you might not have seen and get really excited about something new that can be happening in your home.
Yeah. And I would recommend on top of that, what I've noticed is, you know, the areas that I use a lot that I normally would just leave a book out in, or whatever I happen to be using, I'm really diligently not doing that right now. Not because I'm trying to be great and productive, but because if I don't do that, after a few days, the house is a disaster. So I mean, to keep myself sane, I have to keep it almost look like guests are coming here all the time, which is very weird. And that's working for me. I don't know if it's working for other people need to get through this however they want to, because no one should judge anyone right now.
No.
It's a tough world.
This is the first time I've put on real clothing in like what feels like a week and a half or 2 weeks. I actually don't know what day it is anymore.
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, it's okay. Good to know. Good to know. I think we're kind of all in this boat right now. If we didn't have to check our emails, I don't think we would know.